A desperate wish list of unfunded promises from a weak Prime Minister. We know where these sorts of unfunded promises from Conservative Party Prime Ministers lead. They lead to higher mortgages, leaving you and your family worse off. They've done it before, and their manifesto today is proof that they will do it all over again. This is a recipe for 5 more years of Tory chaos, which will leave British people paying the price. Today I want to address directly the costs of the Conservative Party manifesto. The money is not there, and it will mean £4,800 on your mortgage. This election falls at an important moment for the British economy. 14 years of Conservative governments have brought us to this point. 14 years of political chaos. 14 years of rising taxes and low growth, resulting in the first Parliament on record where living standards are lower at the end of the Parliament than they were at the start. Our national debt at the highest level since the 1960s. And while their rhetoric today is about tax cuts, their record is one of tax rises. 26 increases in tax in this Parliament alone, yielding the highest tax burden in 70 years. The Conservatives are gaslighting you, and no one will believe their claims. I've been clear throughout my time as Shadow Chancellor. I want taxes on working people to be lower. In the last Parliament, I opposed tax rises, and I supported cuts in tax, including to national insurance, but only when they are fully funded. Labour's manifesto will include an ironclad commitment. There will be no increases in income tax, national insurance or VAT with a Labour government for the duration of the next Parliament. But we will only cut taxes when the money is there. In contrast, the Tories offer promises they cannot fund from savings that they cannot find. And when it comes to the plans in this Tory manifesto, the money is simply not there, and it will mean £4,800 more on your mortgage. To pretend otherwise is dishonest and it's irresponsible. Over the last 4.5 hours, we have gone through the Conservative manifesto line by line. They claim that their plans are fully costed and fully funded. But analysis that we have conducted since publication has identified £71 billion of unfunded commitments over the course of the next Parliament. The consequence of an increase in day-to-day borrowing to fund the commitments made in this manifesto would amount to a second Tory mortgage bombshell, because higher borrowing at this scale would force the Bank of England to increase interest rates. The result would be an increase in the average mortgage totalling £4,800 over the course of the Parliament. This is serious. I worked as an economist at the Bank of England before entering politics. I know the importance of sound money and having a firm grip on the public finances. If these Conservative policies are followed through, it poses a real threat to our economy and to household incomes. Now, I want to be transparent about how we've reached the figures, because I am determined that the Labour Party will hold ourselves, that I will hold myself to higher standards than the Conservative Party holds. So we have set out clearly in the document we're publishing today the logic and the workings behind all of our findings. In particular, I want to draw attention to 5 serious errors in the Conservative Party's manifesto. Let me take each of them in turn. First, they have spent much of the first 3 weeks of this campaign pushing their national service proposal. But their costings for their plan omit the costs of equipment, accommodation or training of the 30,000 new military recruits. On any reasonable assessment, that plan will cost double their costings, and it would consume the entire revenue that they can reasonably expect to raise from cracking down on tax avoidance. That leaves many of their remaining plans unfunded. Second, the Tories claim that their crackdown on tax avoidance and evasion would raise £6 billion. But the truth is, despite trying to mimic Labour's plans, they have failed to account for the near £900 million of investment needed to meet their pledge. Third, the Tories claim that they can make more than £1 billion of efficiency savings from government agencies. But the truth is, they've provided absolutely no detail whatsoever. This is not a credible plan. Fourth, the Tories claim that they can raise £1 billion from scrapping poor-performing university courses because they have no plan to cap the number of student places that falls apart if students simply choose to study a different course. And fifth, the Tories claim that they can make £12 billion in savings in welfare. But the truth is, that claim is simply not credible. It is true that under the Conservatives, the welfare bill has spiralled. Since 2019, spending on benefits to support disabled people and those with health conditions has risen in real terms by £20 billion. And under Rishi Sunak as Prime Minister, the taxpayer has been losing £1 million every single hour to benefit fraud and error. That is their record. And there are savings to be made. But the idea that the Conservatives' proposals can save £12 billion is pure fiction. Reform of the work capability assessment, reform of fit notes, increased sanctions for people out of work for more than a year, and increased funding for mental health, all included in the baseline from the Office for Budget Responsibility. Each of the other three proposals are no more than vague ambitions, with no detail of how they could produce the savings that they're aiming for. Of 7 separate pledges on welfare that they made today, in every case, the money has either already been banked by the OBR or they have no credible plans on how to make the savings. Their much heralded one single penny of new money relative to the OBR forecast. We've been here before. It was less than 2 years ago that the Conservatives set out tens of billion pounds of unfunded commitments. They crushed the economy, sent mortgage rates spiralling, and put pensions in peril. In the end, you got the mortgage increase, but you didn't get the tax cut. And that is exactly what you'll get all over again. Don't judge 14 years on 49 days, says Rishi Sunak. And they should be judged on the whole of their 14-year record. But the damage done in those 49 days will last for years. Last year, 6.4 million people across England and Wales saw their rent increase or had to remortgage. A further 1.5 million households have either remortgaged this year or will do so in the second half of this year, paying on average an additional mortgage payments every single month. And this manifesto is final confirmation, if any were needed, that they have not learned their lesson. This is about Tory future, not just about Tory past. A recipe for 5 more years of chaos. Cast your mind back to a little over 18 months ago. Rishi Sunak was supposed to be the antidote to Liz Truss. He was supposed to steady the ship. You have to ask, what happened to that Rishi Sunak? Instead of drawing a line under the chaos, he's determined to write the next chapter of it. More undeliverable promises from an ungovernable party. Just 2 weeks ago, Rishi Sunak's Chancellor said that a third cut to national insurance wouldn't move the dial. And now that we find, in a last-minute desperate scramble, that is exactly what they're proposing, but with no plan to pay for it. And here's the thing. If they did believe that their sums added up, if they thought that they would get the all clear from the Office for Budget Responsibility, they wouldn't have put these plans in a manifesto. They would have put them in a budget. They know their numbers don't add up, and the Conservatives' desperation will put our economy at risk. The money is not there, and it will mean £4,800 on your mortgage. You will see something very different when we publish our manifesto on Thursday. A fully costed, fully funded, credible plan. I will not raise taxes on working people. And I will not raise income tax, national insurance or VAT with the Labour government for the duration of the next Parliament. In fact, I want taxes to be lower. But I will not play fast and loose with the public finances. The change that we offer will be built, can only be built, on the basis of iron discipline. I know that economic stability is the foundation for economic success. We will not enter an arms race on unfunded election promises. We have started as we mean to go on. Every policy we announce, every line in our manifesto will be fully costed and fully funded. And that is the attitude that I will take into the Treasury. A Labour government will not waver from...
OK, that was Rachel Reeves there giving her response to Rishi Sunak's party manifesto, which was launched this morning at Silverstone.